everyone. Meet Miss Lauren Brown, a school program coordinator, a licensed therapist who used to work at the Discovery Counseling Center and now works at the Danville Police Department.
Hi, everybody.
So, Lauren, can you tell us a bit about peer pressure and fines that adults could be cited for letting children use drugs, as well as underage drinkings?
Yes, I can. So I'm going to start with peer pressure. It still does exist, and it actually affects kids, even good kids, kids who never get in trouble. It's just something that is kind of constant. And what I hear in my experience and from the other officers that I work with, it's not necessarily like people just saying, if you don't do this, we're going to beat you up. But it's this thinking that everyone's doing it and that I'm the only one not doing it. And it's like an internal peer pressure. When in reality, that's not true. Not that many people are participating in it, but they feel like pressured to do so. So even good kids who never get in trouble end up kind of succumbing to peer pressure if they don't have good tools in their belt to sort of deal with the peer pressure. And then parents deal with peer pressure too. Parents sometimes feel pressured to be the cool parent, for lack of another term, and allow kids to explore, experiment with substances in their own homes. And that's definitely a problem. And we have legal ramifications that kind of go along with that. So I don't know if you want me to talk about that part at this point, but
Yeah, if you could touch a little bit about the fines that adults could be cited for and great prevention trips right after, that would be really, really helpful.
absolutely. So the town of Danville has one social host ordinance that blankets two different substances. So social host means that anyone who is having a party that has alcohol and serves underage minors the homeowner can get cited whether the parents are home or not. So parents are home and there's a party, parents are going to get $1,000 fine. Parents are not home and there's a party, parents are still going to get $1,000 fine. Which is a lot of money. And it's definitely, it's not something that people want to have to deal with. And that's both alcohol and marijuana. So both drinking or smoking weed, the parents or wherever the home is that's providing or having the party can get a fine. And we definitely enforce that. So it is being enforced by our officers.
Thank you. And then what are some great prevention trips you would offer us to avoid this problem?
I personally think that one of the most important things that families can do is talk about expectations around drinking and drug use. So, just because you have good kids who make good choices, typically it doesn't mean that they know how you feel about it as a parent. So if you're a parent and you talk to your kids about how, your perception of drinking and how it's dangerous and they need to wait until they're 21 for many different reasons, they are actually going to be more likely to listen to that. So having good conversations with your kids about your expectations and then laying out the consequences. So there's the logical consequences, like you can get sick or bad things can happen if somebody's, drinking and they're acting reckless. Unfortunately, there's a high risk of like sexual assaults at parties where there's alcohol, or accidents. People think they can jump off the roof or do crazy things. And all of those things can really lead to some really bad situations. But there's also consequences that parents can impose. Like if I catch you doing it, you're going to be grounded, or I'm going to take away your iPhone, or things like that. So both of those consequences are really important to talk to your kids about. And then going back to the legal ramifications, in the scenario I just mentioned, where if there was an accident or something bad that happened at a party, not only would the parents possibly be legally responsible, but they can also get sued by other families, and it could be really, really financially a big burden on them. So my tips for parents are: talk to your kids about the dangers, sit them down, let them know how you feel, that it's not okay with you, that you're not going to be the cool parent providing the alcohol or the drugs for them or their friends. And that if they do end up getting caught, not that they can't go to you for help, because we want our kids to let us know if they need something or they need a ride or they're in a bad situation, but that you're not okay with them doing it to begin with. And does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you've answered that question really, really well for us, Lauren. Thank you so much for your input. I think it's really valuable, and I think that we can do a lot of good here with it. Is there anything else you wanted to add on?
No, just make sure you keep talking to your kids. And if we're always here in the Community Discovery Counseling Center, the police department here in Danville, and I know in just the San Ramon Valley, we're all of us work together to help families thrive. And so if anyone has questions or need resources, we are always here for you and your family. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lauren.
Hey there. Today we're here with April Rivero, the Executive Director and founder of the NCAPDA, the National Coalition Against Prescription Drug Abuse. April, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, you're so welcome, Charlie.
All right. Well, this interview, so to speak, is intended to inform parents on how to deal with substances and how to ensure that the substances stay out of their children's hand. So let's just jump right into the first question. What are the signs that your child may be using alcohol and/or other substances?
Well, Charlie, there are basically two things to look at. You've got some physiological things that are going on and also some, let's just call them emotional kinds of things. So physiologically, what you'd want to look for is your child losing weight. Are they appearing differently? There's something going on with them visually. You can look at pupils. Are they dilated? Are they constricted? Are they behaviorally not wanting to do the things that they used to love? They don't care about football anymore. They don't care about cheerleading anymore. There's a clear difference. They're losing weight. They're sleeping more. There's visually things going on. Their behaviors may be erratic. They have maybe some emotional outbursts and that sort of thing. So it's different behavior than a parent would be used to.
Right, I see. So you have like all these signs, and of course this is like a really touchy subject to bring up to your children. So do you have any advice on, like, let's say like you're seeing these warning signs in your child, how would you bring the subject up to them?
Well, I think the number one thing is don't be confrontational. You hopefully as a parent have a really good relationship with your child, and they're open and discussing things with you. Often that's not the case though. So what you want to do is approach the conversation in maybe not in a matter-of-fact way, but certainly not confrontational. You want to explore with them what's going on. Show from a position of love and caring that you're really concerned about them. And so it's not like you're going to be in big trouble if I find out you're doing this or that, but basically I'm concerned about you. Let's talk.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice, because a lot of the times like the kids tend to think that their parents are like cracking down on them, whereas like the parents just, are looking out for the child's safety.
Right.
And so in the event that the parent does find out that the child is using a substance, what are some of the available ways in which they can help their child move away from substance use?
Well, once you determine that there really is a real possibility, or you even maybe have proof, you found paraphernalia or some real evidence of that in their room or car or whatever, the key would be to go to a professional. Typically, you want to go to your doctor, you want to go to a counselor to do some outpatient like oriented things before you would consider, putting somebody into some kind of a 30-day program, let's just say, where they would be, basically away from home in that program. You really want to do an assessment, find out through professional support what really is going on. To what extent is there a problem? Is it just mild? Is it just in its budding stages? Or is it pretty well defined? And, some more, detailed, let's say, help is really important to pursue. And that can be done through these professionals.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you make sure that your child doesn't continue using these substances in the future?
Well, there's no guarantee, but I would say the very first thing you want to do is, as a parent, you need to be educated, right? So a lot of times the PTAs, the school system puts on, parent ed things. Go to those, educate yourself. Mm-hmm. There are also some really good resources, and I'll share some of the website information that people can move over to. Certainly if they can access it through our own organization's website, but learn everything you can. What are the trending drugs? Vaping, learn about naloxone and that being used as an overdose remedy for opioid overdoses. Learn about the opioid problem, what's going on with fentanyl out on the streets, and it's showing up in pretty much everything and taking a lot of life. So learn about that and share it with your children, and not from the perspective of just drugs are bad, just don't do them. Share why they're bad, how they impact their teen developing brain, and what the potential downstream impact could be from developing a substance use disorder, and how difficult it is to move away from that. education, education, education. That's what our organization's all about.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think like as children, we're often told that like drugs are really bad, but we're never like shown videos of like what they can like do to people until like much later in high school. And at that point, there's a lot of influences already. We might not, have the negative effects of drugs like ingrained in our head. And so I think like starting from a young age, that form of education is really, really crucial.
Yeah, and young age, Charlie, I would say like, by 10 years old, unfortunately, we're seeing drug usage being driven down to younger and younger levels. And so
That's true.
definitely by middle school, you need to be having these conversations. And I would say absolutely pay attention to the fact that once your child turns 18, you don't have control anymore. You don't have any influence. You can't force treatment.
Mhm.
So, find the problem early and deal with it early.
Yeah,
Would be my
definitely.
absolute advice. So
Well, April, thank you so much for sharing these tips and guidance for all the parents who are watching. Feel free to share any additional resources that parents can look towards that you provide us through the NCAPDA.
yeah, and Charlie, here's just a real quick glimpse at our contact information. So people can go to our website, they can certainly call us. YouTube channel, we have so many educational videos, so please join us there. We've got Facebook and all the usual social media platforms too. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share today, Charlie. Great to talk to you, and I look forward to this making a difference out there.
Of course, you as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.